It looks like Chinese retailers, for example, are already holding back spending on Snap ads.
Yes, exactly. They're already holding back spend, and I think in their earnings call they did say that that's partly why they're delaying issuing any guidance. They are worried about that, and I think just overall, the issue with Snap is that it's one of those businesses where when we start to see these advertiser pullbacks, pullbacks in spend, pauses in spend, platforms like Snap end up taking a hit first. Advertisers want to put their money into Meta, into TikTok, into Google, into platforms that are just more, bigger, more proven. And so I think we're already seeing Snap feel the impact, pretty early on.
It's why it's in our calendar, right? Because apart from Google, we always talk about how Snap goes first, and then we extrapolate out to Meta and its platforms. I haven't used Snap since high school, frankly. But Caro's intro summed it up perfectly. Like, you don't give guidance, that's a markets thing. The platform is growing.
Yes.
What can you tell us about your reaction to that and where you see it doing well against those other platforms?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all in all, Snap had a good quarter. I mean, by all of its major metrics, it saw user growth, it saw ad revenue growth, it saw revenue growth, which really speaks to the fact that it has done a good job investing in its ad platform over the past few years. Its subscription business remains small, but is becoming a meaningful portion of revenue for the company. So yes, they are seeing growth, but I think we're now seeing that growth maybe kind of happens in a silo in Q1. I think for the remainder of the year, things might get shaky for them as they kind of balance, all the economic uncertainty we're facing. But, the actual core business does show some pretty healthy signs.
We've been asking our investor and markets guests for about a week, what happens if a technology company doesn't issue guidance? Your stock goes down 15%. What I'd love to help our audience understand is tariffs, trade uncertainty, advertising market. Why did the advertisers care?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, when they see advertisers spend becoming, starting to pull back, it's a sign of bigger concerns, bigger issues to come. Because a lot of these marketers, for a lot of these companies, one of the first things they're going to pull back is marketing when they start to see signs of a shaky economy, periods of instability, and especially, when we talk about tariffs, companies that might be hit harder by tariffs, maybe they have manufacturing in China or whatnot, those companies, retailers, that maybe rely heavily on other countries, they're going to have an impact, and ad spend always does kind of take one of the first hits when you look across the whole company. And so yeah, these platforms, ad revenues are bread and butter, and when you talk about Snap specifically, they're lucky in that they're, because they have their subscription business, they are able to diversify a little bit, but again, I think it only represents about 10% of their business right now. So of course, they're very concerned about ad revenue.
What blows my mind is that Snap has almost 1 billion users.
Right.
But they have a first quarter net loss of $140 million. Just where is the money going? What levers do they have to pull to be a long-term competitor that actually is profitable?
Yes, I mean, they definitely are running into some issues, specifically when you talk about user growth. They are seeing user growth year over year, but when you look at their key markets, when you look at North America, they actually posted declines. I think it went from 100 million to 99. So they are seeing some concerns there around, the market of North America, that is their most profitable market.
Saturated.
But it's saturated. They're really struggling to grow there. And these markets where they are seeing user growth, those are the markets where they're not monetizing as well. So they definitely have, like I said, they had a good quarter, but they have some big long-term challenges ahead of them.
Let's say that there's still a question mark about TikTok in the United States.
Yes.
Does Snap stand to benefit from that, whatever happens with that platform?
They do stand to benefit, and they have benefited already. I mean, I think the uncertainty around TikTok, of course, its future is still in flux, but I think just this general uncertainty that's been happening over the past few years has benefited all these other platforms. That being said, I don't think Snap will be one of the main beneficiaries. We're going to see most of that money go to YouTube, go to YouTube Shorts, go to Instagram Reels, even Facebook. I think Snap, yes, it will benefit, but not so much that it'll really kind of, save their entire business by any means.
Okay, what are you watching for with Meta? What do we need to know?
Oh, wow. I mean, in some ways, Meta's actually a similar story to Snap, in some ways. In that, I think we're expecting a good quarter. They're going to post advertising growth. They're going to kind of, by all their major metrics, we're going to see growth. But between the antitrust trial they're facing here in the U.S., between tariffs, and especially for Meta, I mean, they will be impacted by Chinese retailers like Shein, Temu pulling back on ad spend. That's going to hit them pretty hard, we expect. And so, yeah, they're probably going to post a good quarter, but I think there's going to be some issues people will be paying attention to for sure in the quarters to come.